The 4-Hour Work Week. Escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. This is a book by Timothy Ferriss where he talks about how to deal with your current financial situation and turn your life into one where you can work minimal hours with the maximum time to really live your life. Hi, welcome back to Billionaires Book Club. This is the second episode in this series where we talk about books that I've read and I think you should read if you're trying to grow in either relationships, finance, business, or just life in general. Today's video is going to be broken up into 4 separate sections, kind of like how the book is broken up. Step 1, D, is for definition. Step 2, E, is for elimination. Step 3, A, is for automation. And then step 4, L, is for liberation. Now, if you feel like picking this book up yourself, check the link in the description down below. This is kind of the one that I used and read, and it has a lot of the extended notes and updates, things like that, because this was written a while ago. Also, just a little bit of a disclaimer, I don't fully agree with this book. I'm only going to be talking about the principles that I actually do agree with, and I think that could be applicable to your life. But one thing that I want to be sure I talk about in this series is also, I want to steer away from the parts of the books I don't like. I don't think every book I read is perfect, and I don't think every book that I recommend to you will also be perfect. But I do think that there are good things that we can take away from certain books, and I kind of touch on what I don't like about this book later. The first part is going to be the definition. People don't want to be millionaires. They want to experience what they believe only millions can buy. This is probably my favorite quote from the whole book, and probably one of my favorite quotes ever, to be honest. Do you actually want $1 million in the bank, or do you want a life that you think only millions can buy? He calls this section define because you need to define what you're going to use your money for. It's great to have $10,000 in the bank, but what is the $10K going to do for you besides sit there? What are you going to use it for? Is there something you want to do with it? It's great to have money to a certain extent, but it's kind of useless if it just sits in your bank account. Do you want to make a ton of money, or do you want to make a ton of money so that you can travel? Where do you want to travel? When do you want to travel? How long do you want to be there for? Do you want to go with anyone? These are questions that you kind of need to ask. Do you want to have more stuff, or do you want to have things that actually bring joy to your life, things that you might have never used before, better equipment for hobbies and projects you like to do? What do you really want? Define that. The other half is also when this is going to happen. He lists out when, where, what, and whom. You really need to define these things because it's important. When, where, what, and whom do you want to do all these things? I think something else that, when I read it, I think this is something we all really need to hear is less is not laziness. Doing less meaningless work so that you can focus on things of greater personal importance is not laziness. Or in other words, focus on being productive instead of being busy. This is a very important premise, and defining your time and using it leads to having fewer work hours. It used to take me weeks to finish videos like this, but now I finish them in just a few hours because I limit myself. For example, the show that I do every week, the podcast, Not That It Matters, it takes me about 10 hours a week of work. And I've done that because that kind of seems to be the sweet spot, you know? If any more and it's kind of a waste of time, any less and it's not a good show. And then this also kind of leads me to my next point, which is elimination. Perfection is not when there is more to add, but when there is no more to take away. Think of kind of you hear of the 80-20 rule. Let me kind of break this down. Well, which 20% of your things relieve you of 80% of your stress, and which 20% of things bring you 80% of your happiness? This rule could also be applied to business, and it does. He mentions this in the book of what 20% of your customers are bringing you 80% of your revenue. I've also done this in my own business where I'll kind of turn deals down to some new creators and also even some old ones. They might be shocked to learn that I turn down work. And from, a personal finance perspective, it doesn't make sense. Why is it if somebody's offering you $100 for a shoot, would you turn it down? Well, I'll turn it down because it takes 15 hours of work. It's a headache. They complain. They're not going to tell their friends about my work. They're only going to leave me bad reviews, even if it's not bad work, and it's not worth it. Some deals you have to look at and understand it's just not worth it. Yeah, I might be losing out on $100 here, but that means that on the $800 project or $2,000 project, I can actually put more effort into. Sometimes it's just easier to shake hands and move on in that way. Now, here's one of the parts of the book that I disagree with, and this is probably the only one I'll touch on, at least in this video, is he says to eliminate distractions and other conversations, either in email or on phone calls, such as like, hey, how are your kids? How's your wife? How's your husband? How's the family doing, etc., etc. How's that side project you're doing? How's that YouTube thing you're doing? And it takes away the human aspect. And I think that in business, we have a tendency as business people to take that away. And I think that's damaging in the long run. Because what you're saying, either literally or maybe not, you don't intend it this way, but this is how it kind of comes off, is I care more about your output than you as a person. And that's just, I don't like that. I think maybe spending that 10 minutes to actually learn a little more about someone, or asking how their kids are doing, or how their wife is, or if they're doing the creative things they enjoy, it means a lot more. Because I think it's more important to check on if their father is doing well in rehab than if they finish that spreadsheet. And yeah, sure, the business stuff can come later and it's important to get done, but not at the cost of how much you can relate to somebody. The next part is automation. Now, I've always found having a personal assistant fascinating. While I don't have one right now, I do think the idea of being able to pay someone $100 a week to do all the tedious little things you don't want to do is pretty interesting. There's a line where he says, fun things happen when you earn dollars, live on pesos, and compensate in rubles. But that's just the beginning. It's an interesting concept, and me personally, I want to travel places, go places, and do things. So the idea of making dollars while living on pesos or euros is pretty interesting to me. Automation as well, he talks about, can be applied to income streams. Let's say renting properties, renting cars, vending machines, laundromats. I mean, heck, YouTube is even a form of automation, because once you put in that work in the front end, this video can make me money. And it goes back to this idea of it's not just a golden goose once, but it's a constant stream of gold right into your purse. The last part of the acronym is liberation. Liberation is something that I've been applying to my business, and it's been interesting. I've always wanted to create teams of people that can mimic my video style and even incorporate their own, to where I can have a team on product videos, a team on wedding films, a team, doing different videos, to where I don't actually have to be present, but because it's my brand, my business, my client, my clientele list, everything, my expertise, my money that went into buying the equipment, it pays off on the back end, because I no longer have to actually be the one in production. Somebody else can be doing that, and then I get the kickback of it. All of this is bringing me income. And there's this idea of minimum work, maximum reward, high value money. Money might be the same value currency-wise across all of America and all of currency. Money that is obtained with minimal effort and maximum results is high value money. And that's gonna be it for today's video. I appreciate every one of you watching, all you beautiful people. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you guys have enjoyed it, drop a like down below. It's very much appreciated. If you guys do have a book or anything you guys want to suggest for the next episode of Billionaires Book Club, leave it down in the description down below. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Adios.